a little wet weather will be skirting around us. I'm hearing rumors that the forecasts are better now than they were, let's say, yesterday for tonight.
Yesterday it looked a little down, but
it's
nice out here now.
It's nice. The wind's starting to pick up, so it's going to cool off a little, but we've got beautiful conditions for the 8 races. Glad to have you back. We've got some really nice fields coming up this week. 6:35 Central to start time tonight and tomorrow. And it's going to be good. It's going to be a really nice meet here at Lone Star Park. So let's get things going here with the typical opening night feature, and that is the Blue Bonnet Stakes. Texas bred fillies and mares, 6.5 furlongs. We always start right out with a stakes race as race 1, and this is a really solid field. You know, right now, Steve Asmussen's filly is getting, in the early wagering, getting bet right off the board, and she is certainly a big star-type filly in here. I'm going to try to beat her. I might be the only one in the building trying to beat her, but I just wonder if Closing Act isn't prepping for something later. I mean, surely they want to win, but, you know, she's already a non-graded stakes winner at Belmont Park, but nonetheless, I'm going to try to beat her, but there's not much early speed in here, so I'm really interested to see what kind of pace scenario develops in this sprint.
Yeah, you know, I had to take Closing Act in this spot. I mean, a lot of respect to the other horses here. Too much Kiki. I see that you have that horse on top. You know, had some good races down at Sam Houston earlier this year. This is a horse that we've seen win out at Lone Star Park as well. But Closing Act, you know, this is an interesting horse. Steve Asmussen trains the Hall of Famer there. If you take a look at those workout tabs, I mean, the last 2 were bullets for Closing Act. Has been off of the racetrack. Hadn't been in a race since Saratoga of last year, but that was a big Grade 1 race.
Yeah.
And if you look back at how this horse did, you know, at Churchill and Belmont in the first 2 races of her career, wins in both of them. So that time off, you know, kind of concerns me a little bit, but seeing that workout tab with those bullets, I think Closing Act is going to be ready to go today. I picked that horse over Too Much Kiki. And then my third horse is going to be number 7, Peak Factor. You know, this is a horse that had some interesting connections out here to Lone Star Park. I don't know if you were here when this horse's Lasting Bubbles ran out here.
I don't believe I was.
So Lasting Bubbles, this horse won the Valor Farm Stakes 3 years in a row out here. Was a homebred horse by the Peaks, I believe. This is another one right here, a half-sister to Lasting Bubbles. You know, I think this horse can run well tonight. Was a winner last time out. That came in a $75,000 stakes race at 6, so going to have to add on a half a furlong tonight. But, you know, I think if you want to go a little bit different way, Peak Factor might be one to catch, you know, 4-1 or so. You might be able to make some money, but I think Closing Act takes the opener here, the Blue Bonnet Stakes.
Peak Factor, just to mention her for a second, because I do believe this is a deeper race than what the betting is likely to show. And I don't know if Closing Act will end up going off at odds on like she is now. But Peak Factor in her last race at Sam Houston really had to work hard. She won by 3/4 of a length. She beat 2 runners who are in this race who have some sort of a chance, Is It Is and Reclusive, especially if the big fillies don't really fire. So Peak Factor is definitely the veteran of the group. As a third pick, I went with Is It Is. She was 3 wide, pressed the whole way. She got out-finished late. I'm not sure I agreed with tired late on her comment last time. I mean, that's in the eye of the beholder. But in the Yellow Rose, Peak Factor and Is It Is and Reclusive were in that race as they are meeting again today. And Is It Is just got out-finished, but she was really, you know, pressed hard while wide. As far as my top pick, I mean, let's face it, Closing Act, if she really runs her race, I mean, she's probably gone here, but she's first-time Lasix, that's positive. First start as a 3-year-old, and her first time facing older, and Too Much Kiki as well, facing older rivals for the first time. And it's still a little early in the year for 3-year-olds to be facing older. Asmussen has given Closing Act an interesting assignment here because this is a difficult spot, even though it's against Texas breds, for a first start since September. Certainly she has all these credentials. Buyer fig-wise, though, I mean, she really has not been any better than Too Much Kiki, Buyer fig-wise. And you can add some points to those 2-year-old races because they are automatically discounted on the Buyer scale some. But Too Much Kiki shows a couple of better 2-year-old figs here. Now, obviously, it was here. It wasn't against the Churchill and Saratoga types, but I'm going to go with Too Much Kiki. Danelle Durham purchased the Dam soft music for $1,700 once upon a time, I think as a broodmare prospect, and she has produced some really nice and fast fillies. Soft music has. Too Much Kiki's one of them. She loves to win. She likes the track. She can travel. She's won at 3 different surfaces. I'm going to take her in the first. Second race. These are all 3-year-old fillies. They're maiden claimers. They're going 5.5 furlongs on the dirt.
And I've got number 6, Cinco Gal, as my top choice here. This horse ran a second last time out. That was at Sam Houston in a sprint race at 5 furlongs. Was claimed out of that race. Goes to Ronnie Cravens today. I like Ernesto Valdez Jimenez on sprint horses. I think that Cinco Gal has shown some speed in the past. I think he's the right jockey to be on top. He likes to send his horses to the lead, it seems like, and try to make it gate to wire. We'll see if Cinco Gal can't get that done. Lady Driller, the number 1, is going to be my second choice. You know, last time out, this horse ran 9th, but that was in a lot bigger race than this one here today. That was at the $50,000 tag up in Hot Springs. Is in here today for $7,500, so quite a bit of drop for Lady Driller here. We'll see what happens with the 1. And then I got number 4, Catholic Sue, as my third choice here in race number 2.
Yeah, I'm not a big Cinco Gal fan. She may win this race. She certainly has credentials, and to her credit, she's been with a bunch of different barns and has fairly regularly been overmatched, or at least has produced rather low figs, as all of them have. I'm going to take a shot with Lady Driller, certainly back with a more comfortable set of rivals. And when Asmussen ran her at Churchill, she was 7-1 in her debut last fall, way up the track, and then she ran 8th and last at Hot Springs on New Year's Eve in one of those rich maiden special weight races. She obviously had no business being in those, but when they ran her against maiden specials at Houston, and that's the race I'm counting on for her to run back to, she ran quite well. She was first Lasix. She was only beaten 6 lengths. Ran 3rd out of 8. And then they, put her in a really high maiden claimer at Hot Springs again, and she got her comeuppance. So I'm looking for her to run back to that race 2 back. I'm going to take her over Catholic Sue, who was first-time Lasix last time in Hot Springs, first time out for Broberg, and they bet her. She was 4-1, and she ran dead last. I thought about taking her on top, but, I don't care if it was at Oaklawn. I don't care if it's at the track in Dubai. You got to show a little more than that. But I do think Catholic Sue, like the 1, can rebound, and I took Snowbird 3rd. Putting the blinkers on haven't helped her. This is kind of a wide-open race, so just about anything could happen there in race 2. On to the 3rd. Boy, there's lots of runners in here that are camera shy. It's a non-winners of 2 to begin with, so you're going to see some one-fers, but boy, we got some long-time one-fers in here. These are non-winners of 2, $7,500 the top claiming price, and they're going 5.5 furlongs again.
Yeah, I got Midnight Money. That's the number 2 horse here in this spot. This horse ran for $7,500 last time out. Ran a 3rd in that one. So it wasn't too bad, only beaten by a length and a half. This horse does have some on-the-board finishes. If you look back to last fall at Remington Park, this horse this is where this horse broke his maiden. He had a good race there at Remington, pretty much on the lead all the way around. We'll see how the pace sets up for Midnight Money here, but I got this horse on top. Number 1, Kentucky Ice, is going to be my second choice here. This horse had a good race last time out, the $25,000 level. Finished 3rd in that one, was up there close most of the way around. The race before that, this horse broke its maiden. That was at the $5,000 level. Went 6.5 that day, so this horse can sprint. Broke that maiden by 10.5 lengths, so impressive in that race down at Sam Houston. If you count out that turf race 3 starts back, this horse has, had some pretty good finishes, so I'll take Kentucky Ice up there in my top 3. And then I got number 7, Mo Tap, as my third selection here. This horse spent the last couple races up in Hot Springs at Oaklawn Park, was well beaten in both of those races. But you see how this horse did in Oklahoma City last year. A couple races, one at 30,000, one at 20, 10, kind of dropping. This horse spent up there at Remington Park. Seemed to get better as the price got easier. In for $7,500 tonight. We'll see what happens if Mo Tap can't get up and hit the board.
Yeah, Mo Motap hasn't had a very good year for Broberg. Who, when he claimed him for 25 last September at LAD, he was running really well. And he certainly liked Louisiana Downs turf, but Carl hasn't been able to make a lot of money from this guy, so he's dunking him all the way down to the $7,500 level. I'm going with him second. I'm with you on Midnight Money. I went back and watched his March 9th race at Houston. It was an odd trip. He was kind of chasing sort of close to the pace. Then he wound up, as you can see, going back to 7th, about 3 lengths off the lead. Then he rushed up a little more. I think it was more just traffic than anything else. And he wound up salvaging 3rd as a 5-2 favorite. It was just kind of an odd, kind of buried trip in behind horses. So I think with a little bit better trip today, a little better racing luck, I think Midnight Money can get the job done. On to the 4th. 4th race begins the 50-cent pick 5. It's a non-winners of 3. $7,500 the top claiming price. And they're going a really quick 5/8 of a mile in here.
Yeah, so I'm looking for a quick horse in this spot. My top horse scratched. I had Do Your Job, not in this race.
I did too.
So I ended up on number 6, Detective Bernardo. All right, so this horse is real speedy. We've seen this horse out here at Lone Star Park 5 different times in his career. Has hit the board in 4 of those 5 races. Now, some of those times that this horse was able to get up and finish in the top 3 were in races against quarter horses out here. So we've seen Detective Bernardo out here in the fall running at 870. 870 is 4 furlongs, so going to have to add another 1/8 of a mile on today for this one. But this horse has showed some speed. He's going to fire out of that gate. I think this is going to be the one that they're all looking at the rear end as they're going around that turn and all the way around down the track. But we'll see if Detective Bernardo can hold on. He's listed as a first-time gelding, so a little bit of change there between that last race and now. But 10-1 morning line on this horse. I'll take a shot in this one since my top horse scratched. I got the 3 picked second. This horse has been in some allowance races the last couple. Ran 5 times at Sam Houston there in their meet earlier this year. Failed to hit the board in any of those races, but those were bigger races than this. The horse is in for the $7,500 tag. We'll see if Dose's Dream can't run big tonight. And then I got number 5, Cross Time, another first-time gelding as my third choice here. This horse has had a lot of time off. This horse has been off the races since 4th of July of 2021. So came out here, watched the fireworks that night after the races, and decided he was going to take 3 years off, right? But the horse did put in a bullet workout back on April the 11th. Not bad at all. First of 26 on the morning. So hopefully this horse is fast enough to compete well tonight. Could be one to watch, but I'm taking a long shot. Number 6, Detective Bernardo here in race number 4.
I think Detective Bernardo has a shot. I used him third. It's interesting, when they were giving us the changes today, they did give us the date that horses were gelded, and Cross Time was gelded a couple of weeks after that July 4th, 2021 race. He just went to the shelf and has not been seen since. The workouts are very good. Rick Lee has him at 5-1 on the line. That's very intriguing to me. I still couldn't use him any higher than 4th, though. But nonetheless, I scratch into Just Okie. Just Okie sometimes can close a little bit in sprints, and I don't normally go trying to find closers going 5/8, but I really don't trust some of the speedier ones in here. I mean, most of them, no matter how short they run, they tend to blast out of there early and back up. So I'm going to try Just Okie off the bench since September. Just a year and a half or so ago was running on Oklahoma Classics night in the Oklahoma Classics Juvenile at Remington, and those races draw really nice Oklahoma breds. And, this guy was almost stakes placed in the Don McNeil a year and a half ago. Now he's not that kind of horse anymore, but I think this might be a soft enough spot for Just Okie. On to race 5. This is a turf sprint. The rail's at 20 this week, 20 feet out. There's not a lot of turf sprint experience in this race, and I normally look for turf sprint experience. This is a Texas bred first level allowance. It's also open to non-winners of 2 lifetime, and got an interesting group going in here. I'm going with a horse that you're not using, and Rick only used 4th. I'm going with Blingo.
You know,
I'm
I
going
thought
out
about
all the stops.
I thought about using Bolingo. I really wanted to put this horse in, but I saw this is wide open.
Oh, sure.
You were talking about the lack of turf experience, and I was looking through here. I think there's only one horse in this entire field that's even hit the board in a turf race. That's the number 6, Lucky Promise. I think the horse has a decent shot here, but I went with number 9, Cinco Richie. You know, this horse has been off since July of last year. But the thing about Cinco Richie is, you know, this horse has run on the turf 13 different times. Has finished in the money in 6 of those 13 races. All of them that I have in my program, the last 4 dating back to the meet out here at Lone Star last year. The horse had some respectable finishes in there. A second last time out, a third, a second, and a fourth for those 4 races. Being on the turf and having that experience in those most recent races and the fact that they're keeping this horse on the turf, I think it's going to set up well for Cinco Richie. I mean, those last races, you see this horse was routing in all those. Drops down in here to the sprint. We'll see what happens with Cinco Richie, but I got this horse on top, be the first winner for Carl Broberg this year. Number 3, Aussie's Wings YG is going to be my second selection here. This horse was a second-place finisher 2 starts back. That was on the dirt course at Sam Houston Race Park. Most recent race jumped up into an allowance at Sam Houston at the 1-mile distance. Ran well in that one. Finished 4th, only beaten by a length in that race. I think that this horse can come in and have a good, respectable finish today. And then I got number 6, Lucky Promise, as my third choice. I think this horse could be one to watch. 9-2 odds, pretty decent for this one. Austin Gustafson wins a lot of races. David Cabrera, the jockey, the same thing. He is up toward the top of the standings every year. This horse has been competing at this level. We'll see what happens with Lucky Promise, but I got a 9-3-6 here in race number 5.
This is truly a wide-open race. There's some really, really high speedsters in here. I'm going to go with one of them. I like to try to isolate somebody that's just almost impossible to beat to the lead in these 5/8 turf races and just hope to hang on. And, you know, you might recall J.R. Caldwell and Rene Diaz last year were unbeatable early in the meet. And, you know, who knows if that'll happen today. But I'm going with Caldwell and Diaz here with Blingo. By the way, scratch both of the main track onlys out of this race. I didn't say that earlier. The 12 and 13 are out. American Forest and Fort Hood. I'm assuming at this stage Reckless Red, the 11, is still in. Don't know about that for sure. I haven't heard that he's out at least. But Blingo, drawn toward the outside. He's got incredible early speed. Never been on the turf, but I don't really care about that so much. Caldwell's very good when he spots him on the turf for the first time. 23% winners. I think he's just too fast for him. And another one that's really quick and comes off a bullet work last week, Imperial Redbird. It's his first turf as well. I think they're going to bookend the field, and they're going to be out there quarter horsing early on. I've got them 1-2. We got a video to show, as much for reminiscing as anything else. We're going to look at quarterback Dak from opening night last year. Not so much because it's indicative of how he's going to run today, although I do think he's going to win. But let's watch quarterback Dak. He's going to be sitting third. He's in the white silks behind these dueling leaders. He's got the Farmer's Philly silks, the blue and black sleeves. Now, look how nicely he comes up and smoothly here. He's the number 6 horse. He's coming up here on this leader Warriors map. Now, it's going to take all that Dak has to get by Warriors map here. I mean, you think quarterback Dak, he changes leads nicely here. He goes to the lead. You might thinking here, I'm thinking length and a half, 2-length win maybe. I don't know if he maybe hung a little or Warriors map, I think, just got gritty down inside, and this wound up being a 3/4 of a length decision. But that's what quarterback Dak does. I mean, he does it regularly like that. He's hard to keep out of the money. And he's got good speed when he needs it. This is a mile race. It's our first race around 2 turns. $20,000 condition claimer. And he just loves this track. So I'm going with Dak. You know, last year he was in the Star of Texas. March of 23 at Houston. Was up the track, going a mile on the dirt. This year, he was third in the Star of Texas, comes right back at the same level that he came back at last year on opening night and won. This is a much tougher field than he faced opening night last year here, but I'm going to take him anyway over Malibu SS.
Well, you know, I'm going to not like myself after this race, I think. Bobby Brinkley, the 7. I think every time Bobby Brinkley runs, I pick the horse, and that doesn't really do well for me. And I say, I'm never picking that horse again, Jim. But I've got the 7, Bobby Brinkley, as my top choice here. This horse comes out of 2 stakes races at Sam Houston Race Park. One at 7 furlongs, one at 6 furlongs. So it's going to have to route today, go a mile. If you look, this horse has run the mile distance 6 different times, a win, a second, a third. Horse has been in the money in 5 out of 9 races right here at Lone Star Park. I think this one's going to be ready to go today in this claiming race. Give me Bobby Brinkley on top. Number 9, Malibu SS. That's my second choice here. I think this horse is going to be a solid closer here. Hopefully they get something to run at, and we'll see this horse turn it on and come down the lane with a lot of speed. If you look at those races at Sam Houston Race Park, the first 2 of the year, both of them, this horse came from well behind, ended up having good finishes. One of those was a win, and a one other than Malibu SS might be one to watch from the outside. And then quarterback Dak, that's my horse on for third. Not just because I'm a Dak Prescott fan, but I do like this horse. J.R. Caldwell always has some great horses, and it seems like you mentioned last year he had a bunch of wins opening weekend. I think one night him and Renee might have picked up 4 wins on the card.
Yeah.
I believe. And
this might have been one of them. I think they had a 4-win night on opening night, if I recall.
This probably was him then. But quarterback Dak, this horse we've seen win a couple times out here in 10 tries, has also hit the board in half the starts out here at Lone Star Park. So here we go with quarterback Dak.
Yeah. Caldwell and Asmussen have kind of taken turns training this guy. Caldwell had him last year when he brought him in here, and then he got claimed later in last meet by Asmussen, and then Caldwell took him back this winter at Sam Houston. On to race 7. We got 2 scratches out of the 7th. Maiden special weight 3-year-olds here. I'm going to say this without looking at I just saw your pick. But the 1 and 2 dominate here, in my opinion, on paper. Nonetheless, Maiden special weight, 7/8 of a mile, scratch the 4, Philanthroper, scratch the 6, Macho Grande.
Yeah, I thought the 1 and the 2 here were pretty hard to decide against. I ended up going with number 2, Master of Disguise. The fact that this horse has a lot more experience, 9 races versus 1, but I love the angle of second start, right? So it was hard for me to get off of Mind Hunter, but Master of Disguise, those last 3 races, all of them second place finishes, all of them coming up at hot springs and sprint races. I think this horse could be primed and ready to roll tonight. Mind Hunter, my second choice. Like I said, I like horses making their second start. The very first start for this guy at Sam Houston Race Park, just a couple of weeks ago, right? 6th of April. Ran third in that one, so it wasn't bad. That was in a maiden special weight like this tonight, so we'll see what happens with Mind Hunter. He's going to shorten up a little bit, see if he can't get out there and get some speed. And then I got number 8, Corridor, as my third choice here, coming in off a second. Also at a mile 70 at Sam Houston in the same race that Mind Hunter is in, but I think that Mind Hunter gets the best of Corridor today, but I got Master Disguise on top of all of them.
Yeah, you have Master of Disguise. Rick Lee has Corridor. I have Mind Hunter. Corridor is the morning line favorite, and his figs are fine, and he may very well win. He comes from a hot barn. Did you just shoo away that red spider?
I did.
There's a red spider, teeny tiny guy that I just sent your way, and I saw you
Thanks. I appreciate
sweep him away. The thing about Corridor, I just don't know he can pass anybody. He's performed okay in a route race and a sprint. His figs are okay. He just kind of runs in one place. Maybe this is the day he wakes up. But that's why I feel like I'm pretty confident in a 1-2 here. Mind Hunter over Master of Disguise. I think Master of Disguise is kind of the target. He's forwardly placed. Mind Hunter isn't going to be anywhere near the front, I wouldn't think. He debuted going 2 turns. Now he shortens back to 7/8, shortens a little bit. He has a half sibling named Beyond Blame who made $238,000 in his career. And final note about him, he wasn't able to save ground last time at all. I know that it says that, save ground, but he was 2 to 3 path all the way around, and then he was 5 wide coming for home. Passed some horses late. I like the way he finished. I like my Mind Hunter. I think it's interesting that Eric Asmussen, and I haven't met the kids. I've only met the middle son who didn't get into riding. I've never met Keith or Eric in person, but Eric is obviously smaller than Keith because Eric can get the apprentice allowance. Steve's other son, Keith, has never able to take the apprentice allowance. He was a little too heavy.
Well, one thing about Eric is, the stats here doesn't have a win at Lone Star, but
right. Well,
he's got a win on Ostrich and a Zebra, I think, over the past few years.
For sure.
So he could definitely ride those.
He was a star of Extreme Racing.
Extreme Racing. He was the man. So we'll see if he can't get out there and pick up a win at Lone Star on a horse tonight.
Yeah.
So I think he does have a good chance here in this race, though.
He just started riding. And,
and I want to say he picked up a win last week, maybe his first one.
He's won
Hot
some.
Springs
or
so.
Yeah. Well, the stats here say that he won. He's won 26 of 163.
Never mind. That's a lot more
this
than
year.
I thought.
So riding.
Does it count
the
ostriches and camels in that?
No,
stats?
that does not. All right, 8th and final. 7.5 on the turf. All older runners in this one, non-winners of 3 lifetime. These are $25,000 claimers.
All right, let me get number 4 from the heart here in this situation. On the turf, this horse has some turf experience, 9 different races on the grass. Has finished in the money in 7 of those 9, including a couple wins. One of those wins came back in January at Sam Houston. Not bad at all. That was at 1 mile distance. Horse had a couple mile and 16ths after that. A third and a second in those races. I think From the Heart could be the one to beat here. Number 6, Crazy Ridge. It's a 15-1 morning line horse that I've got picked second here. Also has a lot of turf experience. 21 different races on the grass. Has finished in the money in 9 of those 21. Last 2 races were both second-place finishes. The most recent one came at 1 mile in an allowance race at Sam Houston. Just missed by a nose in that one. And then I got number 7, Good Swimmer, as my third choice to round out the card today. I think this is a pretty good one to look at. It's taking a step up, though, from that $15,000 tag to $25,000 tonight. But we'll see how the rest of this field turns out. It's going to be a tough one. I mean, there's 10 horses in it. So let's see what happens when it's all said and done.
I was intrigued by that Good Swimmer race last time, and I wound up using him third as well. For a guy that's usually somewhat forwardly placed in turf routes, he broke well and just absolutely showed nothing early on. Just very dull. And he did wind up making up some progress. He wound up, finishing 4th out of 11. It's just an odd, maybe he just didn't feel energetic that night because he sure didn't show any speed. Another one that isn't going to show any speed is the top pick From the Heart. I mean, I couldn't go against him. He did have a roaring come from behind win from a dozen lengths back here in June of last year, going this 7.5 furlongs. But, boy, he is absolutely devoid of early speed. That worries me a little going 7.5 here. I usually like to be a little more forwardly placed in 7.5 turf races here, but From the Heart, for me. White Rose Jewel, I think, he gets another tough draw. He drew the 11 hole last time at Houston. He draws the 10 hole here. He turned in a really nice effort last time. Opened up a little at the upper stretch, wound up being caught, but I thought it was a super race from the outside. Unfortunately, he's going to probably get another demanding trip again tonight. But I got him in there as a second pick over Good Swimmer. But really good race to wrap things up. Got that jackpot super high 5 wager on race 8. Pick 4 and pick 5, both 50-cent minimums. Pick 5 starts in the 4th race. Pick 4 starts in the 5th race tonight. So enrolling doubles and rolling pick 3s. And a lot coming up here early in the meet. We mentioned Extreme Racing. That's coming up April 27th and 28th. And Dollar Day this Saturday.
Crawfish Boil Sunday.
Oh, good.
We got Craig Parker, Elvis out in the Courtyard of Champions tonight. It's going to be a great weekend to be out here at Lone Star Park. So for those of y'all that are out here tonight, come back and see us 3 more days this week after tonight. It's going to be a great opening weekend. I'm super excited.
It sure should be. Sun's out. It's really nice conditions, fast and firm. Post time in 31 minutes. Well, that Asmussen. Oh, wow, look at the filly that I picked in that first race is 3-5. Now, the pools aren't very big yet.
I was going to say, I haven't been by the machine yet, so we'll see what happens after this.
They'll switch after you get to the machine since you're taking the 1. All right, well, it looks like those 2 3-year-old fillies in the first are going to kind of maybe dominate the betting, which does look kind of the way it is on paper. All right, thanks a lot for looking in. Good luck tonight.